Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Okay, so today we're tackling a paper called Replace Anything 3D, Text-Guided 3D Scene Editing with Compositional Neural Radiance Fields.
Catchy title.
Yeah, right. But hey, the tech behind it is actually pretty amazing. We're talking about editing 3D scenes, like whole environments, just by using text prompts,
It really is remarkable.
like straight out of sci-fi,
Yeah.
right? And this paper's from a pretty impressive group, too. We've got folks from University College London, the Alan Turing Institute, and Meta Reality Labs research.
A lot of brain power went into this.
Big time. So what if I told you could just say, swap that statue with a giant glowing mushroom, and the AI does it?
That's basically the gist, yeah. The model they created, called RAM3D, uses text prompts to make some pretty complex changes to 3D scenes.
Okay, so hold on, back up a sec. 3D editing is already a thing, right? Like, people make movies and games with it. Why is this such a big deal?
Well, right now, that kind of 3D editing is a whole specialized skill set. You need the software, the artistic talent, the patience, the whole nine yards. But with RAM3D, the idea is anyone could become a 3D artist.
So it's like democratizing 3D content creation.
That's a great way to put it. And that has huge implications for tons of fields. Imagine VR, gaming, even architecture, suddenly way more accessible.
Okay, I'm kind of seeing the potential here. But how does an AI even understand what I mean when I say glowing mushroom in 3D space?
That's the clever part. RAM3D works on this erase and replace system. First, it needs to get a grasp of the scene itself. They use something called NeRFs for this, neural radiance fields.
Nerfs. Sounds kind of space-agey.
Kinda, yeah. Imagine like a super detailed 3D map of light and color. Not just the shapes, but how light bounces off everything.
Whoa, okay, so the AI uses these NeRFs to see the scene, but then how does it actually change stuff?
It's a four-step process. First, it's got to find the thing you want to replace, right? They use this technique called Langsam, which basically uses your text prompt to pick out the right object.
Makes sense, so then it can get rid of it.
Exactly. That's step two, erasing the original object. And here's where the NeRF comes in. It helps the AI fill in the missing bits realistically, like taking into account shadows, lighting, all that.
So it's like a superpowered Photoshop erasure, but in 3D?
Pretty much. Now, step three is where the magic happens. RAM3D uses your text prompt again, but this time to create the new object you described. And finally, it puts that new object into the scene seamlessly, making sure it fits in perfectly.
It's mind-blowing that all this happens just from me typing a few words.
Right. And the results are pretty amazing. Figure 1 in the paper, they've got some examples that'll make your jaw drop.
Examples like what? Give me the good stuff.
They take a scene with a statue. Basic, right? But then they use RAM3D to swap it out with all sorts of things. A dragon, a teddy bear, even, get this, pancakes with a bunny on top.
Wait, a bunny on pancakes? Are they messing with us?
Nope. And it looks totally believable. They wanted to show RAM3D can handle simple stuff, complex stuff, all kinds of shapes and sizes.
I can already see the memes coming out of this.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, but seriously, the potential for this is huge. Personalized content, crazy immersive experiences.
We're just scratching the surface here. There's a lot more to unpack in this paper, how RAM3D compares to other models out there, the challenges, the whole shebang.
Well, you've definitely piqued my curiosity. I'm ready to dive deeper.
Let's do it. This research is full of surprises. Okay, so we've seen what RAM3D can do. The visuals are impressive. But how does it actually compare to other AI models for 3D editing? I mean, there's been a lot of research in this area, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The paper mentions a couple of others, like Instruct Nerf Ever, DateDrillRF, and Blended Nerf. Honestly, from the names alone, I'm lost.
Yeah, they're not exactly the most user-friendly names.
So, are there any clear advantages to using RAM 3D over these others?
Let's start with Instruct Nerf to NeurRF. It's a good approach, don't get me wrong, but it has some limitations. Imagine you want to replace, let's say, a tiny, delicate flower in a scene with a massive, robot. Instruct Nerf to NeurRF might not handle that kind of drastic change very well. The results could look kind of wonky.
Ah, so it's better for more subtle edits,
No.
where the new object is roughly the same size and shape as the old one.
Right, plus sometimes Instruct Nerf to NeurRF ends up changing the whole scene, even if you only wanted to tweak one small thing.
So you lose the original context.
Exactly, like repainting your whole house just to change the color of one door. Not very efficient.
Okay, got it. What about Blended Nerf? How does that one stack up?
Blended Nerf can make some nice-looking stuff, but sometimes the objects it creates look a bit off. Like the colors are too bright or they lack those fine details that make them blend in naturally.
So a realism issue. But hey, Couldn't that almost cartoonish effect be useful sometimes, like for games or animations where you want that style?
That's a good point. There are definitely cases where that style would be perfect. But if we're talking about photorealism, RAM 3D seems to win out. It can work with much higher resolution images so the details are sharper, more believable.
All right, so RAM 3D seems more realistic, but how did the researchers actually measure that? Like, how do you even put a number on realism?
It gets a bit technical, but basically they use these metrics based on CLIP, which stands for Contrastive Language Image Pre-training. It's an AI model that's really good at understanding the link between images and text.
So, like, it can tell that a picture of cat and the word cat go together, but how does that apply to 3D editing?
Well, they use CLIP to see how well the edited scene actually matched what you asked for in the text prompt. One metric they use is called CLIP Text Image Direction Similarity. It's a mouthful, I know.
So if I say, replace that statue with a giant fire-breathing dragon, and the scene actually looks like it have a giant fire-breathing dragon, it gets a good score.
Exactly. It's not just about matching the words, but also capturing the concept, the meaning behind them. And in their tests, RAM 3D consistently got higher scores than both InstructNerf, TunerF, and BlendedNerf on this metric.
Wow, okay. But it's not all about matching the prompt, right?
Yeah.
The scene has to be visually convincing too. Like, the dragon can't have weird bendy wings or bad lighting. It'd be obvious something was off.
You're right, and that's where the second metric comes in, sleep direction consistency. This one checks how well the scene looks from different angles, different viewpoints.
So if I walk around that virtual dragon, it should still look like a real dragon from every side.
Exactly. And once again, RAM 3D outperformed the other models here. They even had people look at scenes edited with all three models, and the ones made with RAM 3D were rated as more realistic.
Okay, this RAM 3D is sounding pretty impressive. But I gotta ask, are there any downsides? Every tech has its limits, right?
You're right to be skeptical. ROM 3D is great for replacing whole objects, but it might not be the best tool for, like, subtle adjustments to existing objects. If you want to change the color of a car or tweak the shape of a sofa, you might still need traditional 3D modeling tools.
So it's more about big picture changes, not fine-tuning.
Yeah, you could say that. Also, RAM 3D, like a lot of AI, can sometimes have unexpected results, things that don't quite make sense. The paper specifically mentions the Janus multiface problem.
The what now? That sounds kind of creepy.
It's not as bad as it sounds. It's this thing where AI sometimes generates faces with, like, multiple eyes or other weird features. It's a quirk that can pop up, especially with complex objects.
So if I told RAM 3D to make a creature with 3 eyes, it might get a little confused.
Maybe. But the researchers are working on ways to fix those kinds of errors. They're trying to make the AI better at recognizing and generating those tricky details.
Good to know. But even with those limitations, the potential here is mind-blowing. Editing 3D scenes with just words? That's incredible.
It really is. RAM 3D is a huge step towards making 3D content creation more accessible and intuitive. And honestly, we're just at the beginning. AI is evolving so fast we can expect even more amazing tools in the near future.
It makes you wonder where we'll be in a few years. We've been talking about replacing static objects, but what if we could go even further? What if we could change the dynamic elements of the scene?
What do you mean?
Like, what if I could tell RAM 3D to change the lighting, make it rain, even rewind time? Could we control the very physics of these virtual worlds?
No, that's a fascinating thought. Being able to manipulate weather, time, those kinds of things would open up a whole new level of creativity. Imagine virtual worlds that react to you, to your actions in real time.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like stepping into a living, breathing digital world, endless possibilities.
It's an exciting prospect and something researchers are definitely looking into.
I can't wait to see what they come up with. This whole conversation has really opened my eyes to the potential of RAM 3D and AI-powered 3D editing in general. It's more than just pretty pictures. It's about giving people the power to create and experience these virtual worlds in ways we never thought possible.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's about empowerment, about pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And on that note, I think it's time for a short break. But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to wrap things up and explore what all this means for the future of 3D content creation. And we're back. Okay, I gotta admit, my brain's still buzzing after that last segment. This RAM 3D thing, it's like we got a sneak peek at the future of 3D, and wow, it's wild.
Yeah, the speed at which AI is changing how we create things is mind-boggling. We've gone from, like, handcrafting every detail to just saying what we want and letting the AI do the heavy lifting.
It's like having this whole team of virtual artists on standby, ready to build whatever crazy idea pops into your head. But this is bigger than just making things easier, right? This feels like a shift.
Absolutely. Remember when desktop publishing first came out, or digital photography? Those tools used to be only for the pros. Then suddenly everyone had access, and it was this explosion of creativity, people expressing themselves in new ways. That's what's happening now with 3D, thanks to tools like RAM 3D.
So instead of needing years of training, fancy software, anyone can become a 3D artist. Just type in a few words and boom.
That's the idea. And think about the impact on different fields. Education, for one. Imagine students learning about ancient Rome by actually walking through a 3D model, or exploring the human body in VR, all created by other students.
Wow, it's like those interactive museum exhibits, but the power to make them is in everyone's hands. And what about those dynamic elements we talked about? The weather, the lighting, even messing with time.
If we can get that working smoothly with RAM 3D, it'd be a game changer. Virtual worlds that change based on your mood, the time of day, even what music you're listening to.
Okay, now that's both cool and kind of freaky. My virtual living room redecorating itself based on my Spotify playlist. I'm not sure I'm ready for the AI to know me that well.
It's definitely something to think about. As we embrace these powerful tools, we have to consider the ethical side, make sure we're using them responsibly. That's a crucial part of this conversation.
For sure. But even just with what RAM 3D can do right now, it's clear this tech has the potential to revolutionize 3D.
And remember, we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg here. AI is moving so fast. Who knows what amazing tools are coming next?
So to everyone listening, if you're even a little bit curious after this deep dive, check out the paper, check out the project webpage for RAM 3D. You might even get inspired to try it out yourself.
Keep exploring. The world of AI and 3D is wide open with possibilities. You never know, you might be the one to discover the next big thing.
And that's a wrap on this episode of The Deep Dive. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.